Hi everybody, so I've got a number of new releases to show you today. I've picked up the 3 lightest shades in the new Natasha Denona cream and highlight duos. I've got 2 of the new YSL Tinted Loveshine Butter shades. I've got the new Lancome mascara. This is the LASH IDＯLE Flutter extension. And I've also got this from Iconic London. So this is the Get Cheeky palette. So lots of different things to show you today. They're really pretty, so I can't wait to show you. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah, I'm 48, I'm not a professional, I'm just somebody who loves makeup and beauty, and here on my channel I show you the new releases, my favourite looks, and give you any beauty news you might be interested in. If you think you'd enjoy this sort of content, I would love it so very much if you did subscribe to my channel. It's so very, very helpful. If you already subscribed to my channel, welcome back, I really do appreciate you. And my skin tone, I have fair to light skin with neutral / cool undertones, and I've got blue eyes. Anyway, that is enough about me. Let's get straight into this video. So I'm actually going to start today with this from Iconic London, and I've got a video which I'll show you before I do anything else. So I'll show you that video. In that video, I try on the coral and the pink either side, using the blush here and then using the lighter part of the shade as it gradients down as a sort of highlight. So you'll see coral one side, pink the other. And then in the eyes, I've used this in the crease, and I've used the coral in the outer V and the lighter shade on the rest of the lid. And then I've done exactly the same with the pink on the other eye. So you can see all the different things I've done with this in that clip. So here's that clip. Today, because I'm going to be showing you the new blushes from Natasha Denona, I've got no bronze on whatsoever, and I'm going to keep it that way. I think right at the very end of the video I might add a little bit of the bronzer, but I'm going to start the video by just applying these to the eyes. So you've seen in that clip how these work really well as blushes, and you've seen the different ways I can use them. But I'm just going to apply them to the eyes today, and my new favourite way of doing it is actually skipping the brown altogether and just going in with one of the shades. So I think I'll go with pink because that will be more of a match, I think, overall for the blushes I'm using. So I'll just show you actually in a swatch, if I show you how I'm swatching it. So if I swatch like this, so you see the light end and the deep end, you can see there's a massive difference between top and bottom. So you really are getting a mixture of shades here. In fact, I could even swatch directly into the middle and you'll see there's a third shade. So it's a very, very clever palette, this. And then you can also swatch the entire thing together, mix it all together, and then you get this shade. So there's mixed together, there's in the middle, there's at the top, and there's at the bottom. Fabulous, isn't it? So you're literally getting 4 different colours just in that one section. And it's really quite easy. So if you wanted to take the light shade, you just swatch across. And then if you want to take the deep, you swatch across. So that's how I'm going to do my eye look today. I'm going for the pink look. So I'm starting with the deepest shade and a fluffy brush. And I'm going to take this into my outer V area and my crease. And it's quite pigmented, you know. You need to go quite lightly. Quite pigmented, but no kickback whatsoever. They're so good on the eyes. Same on the cheeks. They blend out very, very easily. There is no patchiness with these. They're very quick to blend on eyes and cheeks. I mean, look at that. That's pretty much done. And they're just gorgeous. I'm really impressed with this palette. It's beautiful. I'm going right through the middle section now, so I'm not getting quite as much depth. Run it under the eye as well. And then with my Rapha Shodo 00, I'm going to go into the lightest section here. I'm now going to put this all over the lid, keeping this look extremely simple. This has been my favourite way to wear it. This is at least the 3rd or 4th time I've played with this. And it's just the quickest way to create such an easy look. But I love the way you can make it so cohesive by having the cheeks and eyes matching. Something I've always enjoyed doing. Obviously I'm not doing that today because I'm showing you the Natasha Denona. This is literally all I do. Now I do need some sort of light shade, so I'm going to today dip into my Makeup by Mario Neutrals palette and use this white here. It's more of a cream really, and I'm just taking that into my inner corner because the lightest shade in this gradient is too pink for me to use in my inner corner. So I'm just going to use that, and I'm going to run this underneath my brow as well. And now I'm going to take my probably most used eyeliner at the moment. This is from Delilah in the shade Twig. I love this for a sort of soft look, and I also love the ease of application. This is a twist up liner and the shade Twig, like I said. I've actually linked this below. I've always had a 22% discount code with Delilah, but now if you actually click my link, it'll take you to the product and automatically deduct the 22%. If it doesn't for any reason and you want to get it, please message me, but the link is in my description below. Sorry, Flurry's barking at everything next door again. We've just got this constant problem with builders at the moment, so it's very hard for me to keep stopping filming when Flurry barks every 2 minutes at builders. So please ignore my silly dog barking at everything. But there you can see a super light brown line there, which is pretty much all I need. Maybe bring a little bit more across, and this just stops it from making me look ill, I think, because pinks left on their own can have that effect. We're just breaking it up with a soft brown, makes it a nice simple soft everyday look, but breaks it up enough for it to really start to work for me, I think. I do love my Victoria Beckham liners, but they are quite pigmented, and also that they do tend to apply a little bit more thickly, which is why I love this one. It just gives that more fine line and it's not too pigmented. Twig is my perfect shade, and this is definitely my most used liner. So I will now be going on to mascara and showing you the new mascara, but before I do, I just mention I also have the same sort of discount with Iconic London. I'm now an affiliate with them, and currently if you use my link you get 20%. I've got a feeling it was 10, but at the moment it seems to be 20. So if you try it and it changes back to 10, apologies. They do tend to increase and decrease discount codes sometimes. So if you click directly with my link, you will get 20% automatically applied to this. And if you don't, I'll pop my discount code on the screen now so you can use that discount code. And I'll also do the same with Delilah now, actually saying that. So I will pop Iconic London here and Delilah here so you can see the two different codes. But yeah, I'm very impressed with this. Now I'm going to move on to mascara. So I've got this brand new one here from Lancome. So this costs £28 and it says you can achieve up to plus 5.5mm visibly longer lashes. I'm not quite sure it does that, but then I do have very pathetically short and not very visible lashes, so I'm not sure I quite can achieve that, but it's not doing too badly on my lashes. So this says it's your ultimate BFF for fluttery super long lashes that will last up to 24 hours flake free and up to 75% visibly longer lashes instantly. 75% get, so 25% don't maybe. Up to 24-hour wear, and what else has it got here? 480 ultra thin micro bristles which instantly elongate, separate and perfectly flare the lashes from root to tip for a fluttery super long lash. So let's have a look at that lash brush. 480, I'm not going to count that to check for you. You'll see it's a really thin brush, which I actually really like because I always have a habit of poking myself in the eye, so I feel like I can get to the root with a bit more confidence when it's this sort of small brush. The packaging, before I apply, I think the packaging is beautiful. I love the packaging. I love the colours, sort of glittery shine there. I love the shape of it. I think it looks really sleek and elegant, but it's exceptionally lightweight. So if you think something feels cheap when it's really light and a very thin plastic, then you will think this is cheap when you get your hands on it. I personally don't have a problem with that. I still think it's gorgeous. I love the packaging, but it's certainly not one of these heavy ones. It's a very sort of thin plastic and extraordinarily lightweight. But that for me is absolutely fine. So I've actually been trying this out for the last 3 to 4 days now. I think today's day 4 or day 3, I'm not sure. No, it's day 4, I think. So hopefully you can see how this pretty much does what it says, as in it instantly gives my really short lashes quite a lift and quite a bit of length. So it is doing as it says, and because the brush is so small, you can really get there to the root and get all the way up the length of the lash. I zoom you in a bit so you can see a bit better. I don't want to do that too much because I will transfer a bit while it's drying. Can you see the difference between my two? I mean, I think it's lifting them, but not quite as successfully as some of the mascaras I've tried recently, like the Chanel brown mascara, which I'm loving, and also the House Labs, which does also do that instant lift, because they are so lightweight. You can see an instant lift and they're not pulling my lashes down, because my lashes don't like to go up. But I haven't curled this side, so we're going to see the difference between curling and not curling. So this is without me curling. That's what it's done on its own. So if you look at the difference of the two eyes, if I look up, hopefully that's helped you to see. Now on the other side, let me just apply some to the bottom here. Giving me quite a lot of length there to my lower lashes, so it's definitely lengthening for sure. Now I'll get my lash curler from Rapha, and I will curl this side first to see if it makes a bit of a difference curling first, which I always do, to be fair, but I just thought I'd give you the two different finishes. So you can see my lashes, hopefully you can see. It's hard to know when you're looking directly at me, but they're slightly lifted now. So now I'm going to apply this on the other side. So see if it lifts a bit higher. I'll try and apply it like this so you can see more. I don't really think curling it's made a huge difference, which I think does sort of prove the point that it does lift them, curl them up quite well on its own. I don't see a difference. So it has curled them up. So that is very good, because my lashes refuse to curl up. They're really straight and they point straight out, which is why you can never see them. So with a curler and without, it's not really making much difference. So I have to say, I love the way that this applies actually, once I've got it going. And now I'm reaching day 4, it's certainly coming into its own and it's doing a better job. But I've got a few things to say that might spoil everything I've just said now. That is, this smudges like crazy. In fact, I took a photo of my eye towards the end of the day, so I'll insert that picture for you now so you can see. It doesn't just smudge a tiny bit, like the recent House Labs. I have a tiny bit of smudge here for some reason, always that bit there. With the Chanel, zero smudge. With this, it's across the entire length of the eye, and it happens within about 4 hours, and it just gets worse throughout the day. So this is a fail for me, even though I've shown you how it works. And obviously there's tricks to trying to stop that. You can go in with a bit of powder even on the lash and underneath there's ways of trying to prevent it, but because so many mascaras don't do that for me, I rather have one where I don't try to prevent it. And even with those methods, it doesn't always work. And obviously powder on top now can actually lessen the colour, bring the colour down, so it's not the best thing for me to do. But that's how it looked with one coat. I also think that this starts to spoil when you go in for a second coat. So I'll show you again how my eyes are looking with one coat, and I'll go in for a second, which I don't normally like to do with most mascaras anyway. I like it when they give me enough in one, and to be honest, I'd say I'm quite happy with one coat of this. I'm saying that this didn't like having a second coat. I've got a feeling I only did that on day one, and day one's not the best time to test out the mascara. It does need time for the air to mix with the actual liquid to really get into its own. So yeah, the second layer here is definitely working better than it did, so maybe that's better. The smudging I had, by the way, happened, my setting spray went on before the mascara and it smudged everywhere, so it's nothing to do with setting spray. I will put a comment below this because I'm going to edit this one probably later in the day today. I'm not in a rush to get this one out to you today. So I will actually put a comment to tell you if for any reason day 4 was better. So if I don't get smudging, you will see this comment below now saying no smudging. Hi, this is me editing. Well, it's good news, over 4 hours later and there's no smudging, so it must have been a day 1 issue. So I'm really pleased with that because I think it works so much better on me today. But while we're here, here's a close-up of my nose, and can you see the caking? This is about my 5th or 6th attempt to make the Hourglass foundation work for me, and I will 100% be giving up on trying to make this work. Look at that caking, isn't it hideous? Anyway, back to the video. So I've got a lot of length and the second layer went on very, very well. So if it was not for the smudging, this would definitely be a big hit for me. But unfortunately, I'm getting a lot of smudging with this one. But that's my final eye look using the iconic Cheeky palette. I keep calling it just Cheeky, the Get Cheeky, the pink, and using the new Lancome mascara. So now let's move on to the blushes. So I picked up the lightest 3 in the Natasha Denona, and I'm sure plenty of you have already seen a lot of reviews on these. Saying that, I will actually zoom out a bit. I don't think I need to be zoomed in that much for a blush application. And yes, these arrived to me very late. Now, I always say ordering from the Natasha Denona website has worked really well for me. But the last 2 times, for some reason, I forgot to ask for fast shipping. I've just done it in a rush, I suppose. I'm always rushing, trying to buy products the minute they launch so I can get them out to you so you can see them quickly. And I did that with Natasha Denona and I forgot to ask for fast shipping. And when you do that, it can take weeks. And that's what happened, unfortunately. When I ask for fast shipping, it's normally here within 3 days. But I'm really learning my lesson from this because it's the second time it's happened to me. And it launched on Cult Beauty on the 2nd day, and Cult Beauty always deliver the next day. So I could have got these within 2 days of launch. Had I paid the extra shipping, I would have got them within 3. So I'm not going to be ordering for them from the Natasha Denona website. If you're in the US, you could do that and you can guarantee things a lot more quickly. And certainly you can do that if you want to go for, if you're not in quite as much of a rush as me. I do think that Natasha packages everything a lot better than most companies. They come in bubble wrap. I've never had anything break from them at all. And I've also got a 15% discount code which you can use. I think it's a one-off code though, not one of these unlimited codes, but my discount code is Hannah Bevan Mohaffel, my full name. So I'll pop that below for you. So because I'm sure you've already seen plenty of videos of these, I'm not going to go through all comparisons and all sorts of things. If you do want me to make any comparisons, let me know and I will. But I'm just going to show you these quickly. So I've only actually tried one of these myself. There's 2 of them I haven't tried. So what I think I'll do is I'll try on the lightest 2 side by side so we can see what the difference is between the lightest 2. I've actually already tried on the deepest of the 3, which is a fresh mauve. But some quick information on the product before I go any further, just in case you haven't heard. So these are £42 each. They come in this really pretty packaging. It's sort of in keeping with all her eyeshadow palettes and things. We've got a nice stand-up mirror. I really like it, very sleek, and also it's giving you a suggestion of the colour. I wouldn't say it's giving you the colour, but they are different because the lightest, as you can see, is very different. Although the second shade looks almost a bit darker, which is a bit confusing. But anyway, you can sort of work out which one's which from the colour on the front, so that's sort of handy. But I do actually get confused between 2 and 3. And here is how they look. So we've got this cream finish. So this is a hybrid cheek innovation. So you've got the unique cream blush and highlighter. This is a vegan formula offering semi-matte and balmy glow finishes enriched with nourishing ingredients. This is a cream cheek duo which hydrates the skin whilst delivering a natural buildable flush of long wearing colour. This is made in Italy and it's cruelty free. It's also vegan and paraben free. So I'll do a quick swatch of the one I'm not trying on. So this is the mauve, fresh mauve. And here is the swatch of the two of those on the back of my hand there. Quite pigmented, so you do need to be a little bit careful with your application. So I'm going to play you a clip now of me trying this on. And I tried this on top of powder. So I haven't tried anything on underneath without powder. So you're going to see the difference between with and without powder today. And I must say I found it a little bit long-winded to actually blend it out on top of powder, but it did work. It just took a little bit longer, but when it did work, I can tell you now this is absolutely beautiful. And I literally went to bed still looking in the mirror thinking, wow, my face looks so good. I mean, there's some really good foundations out at the moment, so I'm enjoying the foundations I'm trying. But wow, this on top, I thought it looked stunning actually. I absolutely loved it. So I'm looking forward to trying the other two shades. But anyway, here is my clip of me trying on the mauve shade. So here it is. So you can see there, it really is beautiful. Now you might notice a slight difference in my cheeks, and that's because, as I was saying to you, I'm going to put this directly onto foundation and not powder. I realised I powdered my face, so I've just gone off camera. I've removed my foundation and powder and I've reapplied just foundation in this section here. So this blush will be going directly onto foundation only, but we'll try it with the powder at the end so you can see the difference. So I'll start with the lightest one. So this one is Sweet Cheeks, and this one is Icy Pastel Pink and Baby Pink. So let's do a swatch of this. If you've been watching me saying about trying on cool shades, this is definitely not a cool shade, but it's very, very, very pretty. So I'm going to use the same brush on both sides. I've got my microfiber cloth here so I can wipe off in between. So for the blush, I'm going to go with the Refa LC02, which is very similar to the BK Beauty 109, which also works brilliantly for this. So I'm going to tap in reasonably gently. Actually, I think I have to swipe. These do feel quite wet, certainly the blush. They both feel quite wet. I'm going to see how they look on my hand actually, if they have a more of a dry down. Yeah, it feels like that sort of cream to powder finish. It feels dry almost instantly on my skin. So anyway, I'm going to take a bit more of this. Can you see it on the brush now? Just about. Anyway, let's try this on. Oh yeah, So definitely don't look at the brush because it was there. Well, yeah, this is going on much better than when I tried this on top of powder. So like I said, I thought it looked beautiful on top of powder, but I was just mixing it in for a longer time, which is fairly normal, but I'd say maybe a bit more time than I often do with these sorts of formulas. So just keep that in mind if you prefer to wear this on top of a powder. Just taking a bit more on the brush. You can see it is pretty pigmented. It's a nice match actually for the eyeshadow I put on today from Iconic London. I'll take it right into the eye, which is what I would have done with the Iconic London to try and really make them meet together. Tiny bit more on the brush just to bring it up here a little bit more. So at the moment I don't think it's lifting anything from underneath either, which is good because sometimes when you're applying a liquid or a cream directly on top of foundation with no powder, you can see that it lifts. I don't think it is. I've got quite a light coverage on today, so you can still see some sort of pigmentation showing through, but that's more to do with the foundation. It's not because this is lifting. You can see here, you can still see bits on my cheek. And that's just because I'm wearing the Hourglass, by the way. I'm testing it still. Still figuring out ways of making it work. So that is just about enough for me. I think this could go up quite a lot more, but I'm not going to over apply it. I'm going to apply it the way I like to wear it. But you've seen how it looks over applied from when I didn't blend it out. So this can go quite a bit deeper. So now I'm going to go in with the highlight, and for that I'm using the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A506, which is almost a similar shape really to the 109, but just a bit smaller, so it's quite a good one really for highlight when it's cream. So the blush was described as a baby pink, and now I'm going in with this, which is an icy pink, an icy pastel pink. So this would probably make quite a nice all over glowy blush on its own, but it would be very glowy, and to be honest for me a little bit too glowy, because you can really see the pop of brightness and light I'm getting from that. I wouldn't want that all over my cheeks in all honesty, so it really depends on personal taste, but for me that would be a no. But it's a very, very natural highlighter. It's not one that I think is emphasising texture and lines particularly at all. Neither is the cream blush. Very sort of natural, pretty finish. And let's see how tacky it all feels. It doesn't really feel tacky at all. It hasn't fully dried down. I'll see how it feels by the time I've done this side. So you can slightly feel that there's cream on your face, but ever so slightly, and it's definitely not tacky. So I definitely could wear this one without powdering, even though I think I would, because I always do. I like to take the shine down a bit. And I prefer the finish of it on top of powder. But you don't need to, you definitely don't need to. So there we go, this one is Sweet Cheeks. And now let's compare it to the one which I think there's not enough difference between, which is why I wanted to show you really. So this one is Simply Shy, which is an icy light pink and a light dusty coral. So this should have more of a coral than a pink. So let's do a swatch. So there it is swatched out on my hand, but I will swatch it the blush anyway. Actually I'll swatch both. I'll swatch Sweet Cheeks on my hand so you can see how similar they look. They are so similar. So this is Sweet Cheeks and this is Simply Shy. The difference is so minimal. So definitely I would advise picking one or the other going by that. So I've wiped off my brushes and now I'm going back in with the Refa brush into this coral shade from Simply Shy. So straight away it definitely looks a little bit different to the pop of pink. So you can see the coral. There it is if you see it. That's what I meant about how you see it over applied before I blend it out. So it gives you an idea of the sort of depth you can get with these. There's a little bit more warmth and a little bit of coral in this, but it is tiny. It's very much more of a pink. So I'm meeting the eye look like I did with the other side. And again, I think this works very well with the Iconic palette. In fact, the coral shade in the Iconic palette would work well on the eyes with this. even though this isn't overly coral, in all honesty. So now I'll go into this highlight. This one is an icy light pink, whereas the other one was described as an icy pastel, but very, very little difference. I think I'm actually seeing the pink in this more. Let me just check the two together again. So here it is, again, Sweet Cheeks. So it's definitely got more of a pink in the highlighter. So it would definitely work as a sort of glowy pink blush if you wanted it to be that, whereas the other one is a much more light pink. So there is a difference there. That's probably the main difference. Just picked up the wrong brush. So just taking a little bit more of the highlighter. I definitely don't like this as much, you know, as when I tried it over powder. I loved it when I saw the finished look over powder, but I'm not really loving this. It's just okay, but then I'm not somebody who likes to have a sort of overly glowy finish, and also without the powder I don't have that sort of perfected finish, which I really love, but it's definitely not feeling tacky, which is excellent. I think I'll take the lightest of the two, so from Sweet Cheeks I'll go back into this highlighter just to see if I can take a little bit of this down the nose. Yeah, I think that just about works for me. And now I'm going to powder over and show you the difference between having it powdered and not powdered. So this is the full look of the two of them without the powder. Sweet Cheeks and Simply Shy. It is a bit deeper, Simply Shy, isn't it? I can definitely see a bit more depth there. So now just powdering over, I'm using my classic pressed powder from Givenchy in shade 1. I say classic because I use it all the time. So when I said how it looks much better over powder, I'm thinking this really doesn't need to have any added on top of powder, because even with the powder it's still really showing up. But I am still going to do it, even if it means taking it down afterwards, because I do want to show you how it looks on top of powder. Maybe I'll just do this side. I feel like this side is just a bit too strong. I'd much prefer it now that it's got the powder, you know. I just don't like to look too shiny. So anyway, let's go in with the Sweet Cheeks. I'll just take, I'm double checking I've got Sweet Cheeks because they look so similar. Anyway, I'll take one swipe this time. Oh, see, when it goes on top of powder, it's a lot more colour. I'm wiping the brush off because I don't want any more than that. So now I'm going to start blending this out. And straight away, can you see how it's still there in that piece? So it's taking me a lot longer. But it's worth the wait because the finish on top of powder, personally, I think is stunning. This is when it comes into its own for me. Without the powder, I was not impressed with that. There, that's the finish I remember. On top of powder, it's lovely. This is definitely the way I personally would choose to wear it, and the way I think it looks the most pretty. So you still get a bit of a glow, but you don't get that really sort of overly glowy finish. And you don't need to powder on top then, you can leave it, then it's not tacky. But I think that's so much prettier on top of powder. And I will add a little bit of the highlight as well, even though I can still see quite a bit of shine here, so I might just take it there. I don't want to be too shiny, I just want to take a little bit on top with the powder. There we go. Much more of a, I was going to say natural, but maybe it is more of a natural finish, because that overly glowy look is not overly natural, is it, when it's that glowy, I think. I will do a tiny bit on this side, but I do feel with the amount I've applied that even with powder on top, I've got plenty of blush. But because I just much prefer the finish, I'll just take a tiny swipe of it and go over, just because it just is such a nice finish. Yeah, that's definitely working actually. It was worth it. I've worn completely the wrong top today. Wearing the lilac when I'm trying on all these pinks, so I do apologise for the total clash in colours here. I should have worn a pink top. I don't know what I was thinking there. But anyway, I'll go in with a bit of the highlight again, like I did on the other side, just there. Because even though I've powdered, you can really see the highlighter coming through still. So there we go, Sweet Cheeks on top of powder and Simply Shy on top of powder. And my favourite is definitely Sweet Cheeks, and I definitely prefer it over powder. But I can tell you now from trying out the third, neither of these come close to the mauve. And if I was going to recommend one, it would 100% be the mauve. But if you wanted to pick up two that are a bit different, me personally, I would go with the Sweet Cheeks and I would go with the mauve. It's called Fresh Mauve, described as a glowy nude and a mauve. So that one is my favourite. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful if you haven't chosen your shades yet and we're skin twins and you might want to see how this looks. So now let's finish with the YSL lipsticks, Loveshine. So I've got two of these and I was particularly interested because one of them is a lavender. Always interested when lavender is involved. I'll just quickly show you the packaging on these. So these are £35 and there's 3 new shades, and the third one is Cherry Bliss, which I didn't pick up, but I did pick up the other 2. So this is one of them and this is called Lavender Blaze. And the other one I picked up is this one, which is called That's Pink. So I'll actually try That's Pink on first. Beautiful formula, very hydrating, tiny bit of hydration from this one, sorry, tiny bit of pigment from this one. But enough for that sort of everyday colour. I think it's a good everyday shade. It's definitely given my lips a slightly sort of brown pink finish, which is as it looks. Very pretty. But I am actually going to compare both of these to the Chanel ones, which I love. And I've got a feeling they're not going to beat them. And the first one I want to look at is this one, Honey Bliss. So these are the Chanel Rouge Cocoa Balms, or Balms, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce them. And Honey Bliss, if you look at it alongside this shade, slightly similar. Honey Bliss is more of a brown, but the one I've picked up from YSL is a pink, but it's like a brownie pink. So I'm just going to swatch the two of them. Honey Bliss has a bit of shimmer in, so that's one difference straight away. They're not that similar. I just thought you'd like to see the difference. So this one is YSL and this one is Honey Bliss. And then the other one I'm going to compare is the Charming Lilac Purple from Chanel. And this is definitely deeper and I definitely prefer it because it's got more pigment, but I haven't tried it on the lips yet. But I'll show you the swatch on the back of my hand of the two of these. You'll see the difference in pigment. It's a lot lighter, the Loveshine, which is really what they're about anyway, I know that. So here is the Loveshine and here is the Chanel. So one last look at That's Pink before I take it off. And before I try it on, I've also got the Dior Lip Glow here in Pink Lilac, so I think I'll compare this one as well because I am buying a lot of lilacs lately and I think this one is probably the lightest of the 3. Which is why I always use the Lilac Dior Maximizer on top of this to actually get the colour I want. So here is the Dior, here is the YSL, and here is the Chanel. It's very similar, the Dior and the YSL I think, but a little bit more pigment in the YSL. So let's try on the YSL. See now on my lower lip, I've got nothing on my upper lip. If I zoom you in a bit, you can't really see much of a difference there, can you? The pigment is very minimal. So I've applied as much as I possibly can to get the maximum pigment here, and that's the most I get, which I personally find a bit disappointing. I prefer a bit more pigment, but I do know with Loveshine that's what you'd expect. You don't expect a lot of pigment, so the only way for me to get more pigment is to add something now on top. But this will give me hydration for a number of hours. It's super easy to apply. You don't need a mirror with these. You can just chuck them in your bag and apply them throughout the day and just give you a tiny pop of colour. Your lips look better for a sort of natural look. So it is still very pretty. And as soon as I mentioned it, I'll show you the difference if I add the lip maximizer from Dior, which I'm not supposed to be reviewing, but I think I'll just add it anyway. So this is the one in Lilac. And if I add this to the Glow from Dior, it does make a difference. This has got a milky finish. It's not a massive difference, but it definitely makes it better in my view. You can see that sort of milky lilac. So I definitely prefer it with this. I love this actually. I've been using this on top of lots of lipsticks lately, so I'm really glad I got it now. This on its own doesn't show up much either, but on top of things, it really turns them into something I love. So now I really like it because I've got this on. But at least my lips are now matching my top, so something works with my top, if nothing else. But anyway, overall, that is my finished look. What do you think of everything I've tried on today? I think that the Iconic London palette is an absolute standout, it really is. And I do love these from Natasha Denona, but I must say I'm not as in love with these as I was the mauve. So if I was to go back, I would probably just get the mauve, but I do think it looks very pretty. I definitely think you don't need shades 1 and 2 when they're so similar. I'd like to hear what you think of that. I think that applied directly on foundation is a little bit too glowy for me. If you love a glow, you will love it, and it is not a tacky glow, so that's really good. I think the highlighter in all three actually works on my skin tone, even though they've got that bit of pink in them. So I think if I went up to shades 4, 5, 6, all would be too deep. Highlighter and blush, way too deep. So if you've got deeper skin tones, definitely look into the higher shades because you might get on very well with those. But for me, on top of powder, this is much, much nicer. So I'm definitely going to try shades 1 and 2 without having it underneath and just putting it on top. And then I think that would give me the perfect look like it did with the mauve, which I loved actually. I would have given that 10 out of 10, but I'd probably be giving these more of a 7 because they're just nice. I don't love them as much as the mauve. And the YSL, again, very nice, but I do prefer a bit more pigment. So I know that that's what I'm getting with Loveshine though. So you get what is described, and that's exactly how it's described. That formula is known to be very light. So yes, with the Loveshine, it is exactly as expected, and they're very pretty. They're just not my favourites. I prefer more pigment, but if you enjoy that sort of thing, they're lovely and you can't go wrong, and the packaging is stunning. They're very pricey, but they are very pretty. And the Lancome mascara is very nice, but the smudging is a massive problem. So unless I'm reporting to you today that this didn't smudge, this is a definite miss for me because the smudging is horrendous. I'm hoping that I actually got on better with this today, but obviously you know more than me because as I'm filming this, I'm not sure what the case will be in a few hours time, but you already know. So there we go, you know something more than me. And that's about it. I don't think there's anything else I talked about, is there? I've covered everything. The Natasha Denona blushes, the YSL Loveshine, the Iconic London Get Cheeky palette, and the Lancome mascara. Please do let me know what your thoughts are on everything I've tried today. Have you picked any of these up? Are you planning on picking them up? Have you picked up different shades? Obviously, of just the blush and the Loveshine. Did you get the cherry one? And did you pick up any of the deeper ones? And maybe if you've got a deeper skin tone, it might be helpful to any subscribers reading comments how you got on with the deeper ones. So yeah, please do comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. And that's about it from me for today. If you have enjoyed this, please do hit the subscribe button and the like button. That's super helpful to me. If you're already subscribed, thank you for being here at the end of one of my reviews again. I really do appreciate you. And I do hope to see you all again for my next video. Take care everybody. Bye.